Well, good afternoon. See, good afternoon, everybody. This is the 49 Days of CBC, and I have two wonderful people here this evening to talk about Carolina Bible Camp. I know it's a special place to them. It's deep in their hearts. I've been with them working, and I know they work so hard for the Lord. And I just want to introduce Denise and Gary Scruggs. How are you guys?
Good.
We miss you guys this summer.
Oh, I mean it.
I know.
It's been rough.
Now, how hard did it hit you guys when you found out camp wasn't going to happen this year?
Well, it was on, then it was off, and then, we're like, well, maybe it'll be abbreviated. Maybe, things have managed to limp along. So I think we just had a hope and a prayer that something would
make it
happen. Yeah, something. Yeah. But we were at home. We had come back for the weekend, and I said something to Kirk Sams about it, and he got that look on his face, and it's like the blood just drained from it. And I thought, okay, we can't talk about that right now.
Yeah. I remember calling him that day we made the decision, and I was like, I just got to let you know before it's out in public. And just, it's heartbreaking,
It is.
Even for us old folks, right?
Yep.
Well, especially somebody like Kirk, he's competitive. And he's wanting to get the most years in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's over 30 right now.
I think
I know.
He's going strong. I think he's going to have a hard one to beat, though. Dennis is up there.
Yeah, did you hear well, I don't know if Dennis's interview won't be posted until I guess it's coming Sunday. But he said during the board meeting when we were making that decision, he said, this will be the first time I missed Carolina Bible Camp since 1963.
Wow.
Yeah. So you think about all those folks and, like Wilson and HR and all those folks that work so hard with camp. And, we have the opportunity to continue that legacy. Some big shoes to fill, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, when y'all sit here and you think about Carolina Bible Camp, what year did y'all start coming to camp?
I started, my first year was 1993.
All right.
We had moved to North Carolina in 91, and I actually drove my kids back to Ohio to go to camp because they had already started going there. So we did that until 93. And thank you, Wilson Burton. You cannot say no to Wilson Burton. So he came up and grabbed my arm and said, you need to come to camp. And I was like, oh, yeah? So I did. I did. Yeah. So that was the first. I remember Tara was 13. So that sticks in my mind because I was like, all right, this is her first experience at this camp. I said, you're going to get a lot of attention because you're new kid on the block, I said, be flattered and run.
Right. What about you, Gary? When did you first start helping out there at camp?
My deal is I have worked so much internationally that I was gone that it's been sporadic, but I'm not sure the first year. It was probably 96 or 97 when I changed jobs and I was able to come. And the same way Wilson, he just from day one, I need you and Denise as a pair, as a couple, working together. And he was such a blessing to us. And but yeah, he called on us.
Well, he called me and Melissa and I, and asked us to come to be head counselors one time, and that got us stuck on third week. So
yeah,
that I remember that. Yeah, I do. I remember that very well.
Oh, well, when you think back of all the years here at Carolina Bible Camp, I know that each of you have some special memories that you can, think about. You care to share a few of them?
It is so hard.
Yeah.
I started out, the first time I came was third week as a counselor, and I was thrown into the veteran cabin. I mean,
Right.
I was green and they knew it. I'm not going to mention any names, but I'm sure they know who they are.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, it was sink or swim,
Mm-hmm.
but we had a blast. And then Wilson came back to me again and said, can you swim? And I was like, well, yeah. He's like, well, good, because we need a lifeguard. I'm like, Wilson, I'm 30, mid 30s by this point. I'm like, that's a teenager job. And nope. So I went to lifeguard training. And so then that's how I got pulled into first week.
All right.
That was my first experience with first week, was lifeguarding. So I was like, okay, well, this can be vacation. I can just hang out at the pool, hang out with the pre-campers. And that was all well and good for a short time.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what they called me. They didn't even know my name. I was just lifeguard.
Lifeguard.
Yeah. They're like, hey, lifeguard. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not my name. That's what I do. But I was like, I'm going to have to get more involved.
Yeah.
So that they know that I'm more than just this person sitting on a chair. So, and that was about the time things were kind of shaken up first week. And that's how Bonnie and I crossed paths.
All right.
She was taking on the head counselor job first week and was terrified of children, basically, is how that happened. So that's where that happened, and the rest is history.
Oh, man.
So I got more involved and started, making it my goal to learn every kid's name.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my challenge. Do you remember that?
And she did it.
Well, that was the third week, though, I think.
Yeah.
So one week, I don't know how many kids there were, but he used to, when we were counseling together, head counselor, he just made up kids' names. He'd call them Captain, or
Nicknames.
he'd give them nicknames because he didn't know their real names.
Right.
So one
day,
day
Yeah.
at lunch, I had all of the girls stand up, and I called them each by name. And when I called their name, they sat down, and I had one girl, and I knew her like she had been coming for years. There's no reason that I shouldn't have known her name. She was terribly embarrassed, and I was just like, oh no. Just drawing a complete blank. And I was like, man.
She knew all the others.
Yeah. So that was fun. That was fun.
What about you, Mr. Gary? Special memories?
Oh man, there's just so many of them. Most of mine are related to just people. I had never done anything like that before. And as a head counselor, just getting to know the staff and getting to know the counselors.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I take things real seriously. So at the time, it was like very serious. By week's end, you've developed relationships with all
Mm-hmm.
these people. I think that was the first year I met Dean Meadows.
I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, no. He was fresh out of the Marine Corps, I think.
Oh yeah.
Of course, David Palmer was there.
Yep.
And Watson.
Yep.
Powerball. My mom was a nurse, so I had to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had a ball. I had a ball, and it was so easy. And honestly, in all the years that I was there as head counselor, I never had a serious problem.
Mm-hmm.
I remember growing up in camps, and we did have some. I went to 2 different summer camps, and there were some serious issues, but I didn't have to deal with that.
That's good.
There, and of course, our relationship with Wilson and sorry.
You're not the first one.
Yep, Frank Cronk, just so many.
Billy
And you,
and
Billy
yeah.
Boss. Yeah, it was. I grew every time I was there. It was an inspiration for me that carried me through the year to the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And
You know, the interesting thing about Wilson, and I think you kind of touched on it earlier, when he come up and asked you, you know, can you swim, or can you do this, and he was trying to find a way to get you to get out of your comfort zone and do something new, and
sure,
he had all the faith in you, right, to do
Yeah.
whatever the job was that he asked, and that's leadership there that you know, you just don't see that.
Another one that was good at that was Viv. I don't know if you ever met.
Vivian.
You remember Bohannon?
Yeah.
yeah.
She came to me with this little box one day. It was wrapped like a present, and it was a shoe box, and she just brought it to me and just handed it to me and said, you need to do this. And I was like, what is it? And she opened it up, and she had all of the things necessary for doing True Love Waits with these senior girls.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, you got the wrong person. There is no way I'm doing that. You know, because I maybe second or third year. And I just felt like I was no way, shape, form ready for that. And she insisted it absolutely was going to happen. And it absolutely happened. Yeah, for many, many years it happened. And the first year, I didn't know what I was doing. I can remember falling down on my knees in the kitchen, like, God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just hoping you're going to use this mouth and words are going to come out.
Yeah.
And so the girls, we told them they were coming in the dining hall, and they thought it was pizza party time or something. They came in all ready for a big party, and I had candles lit everywhere, and they real quick, it went, the mood changed immediately. Right. And I was like, I've never felt the presence of God more direct than at that moment. It was like it just flipped. And it's moments like that happen, that you walk into a situation and you think there's no way this is going to come together. You can start a week and feel so ill prepared, or not. Things don't happen the way they're supposed to. There's not enough beds. There's not enough counselors. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's not enough campers, you know, and then miraculously it all comes together, and it's the best week ever.
The most amazing kids.
Every year.
You're like, how did that happen? Well, there's only one way that happens.
Yeah.
And it's not us.
Yeah. Well, what is it that keeps y'all coming back?
Oh, gosh. It's home. It's home.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the people, it's the relationships, it's the memories. It's that feeling of spiritual closeness while you're there. Even though you're busy and you're exhausted, when you're getting built up and refreshed inside, and so it's just something you do, something you do. I have a hard time putting things like emotional things into words.
Yeah. Well, I've experienced and seen the way the two of y'all have worked so hard together at camp, and I'm just very thankful of that. I know you probably don't want to admit this, but the kids that y'all have reached over the years, you may not think that you ever touched their heart. I imagine you did. There's little moments. You know how we have, I remember talking about this last year, special moments that we have. It could just be a simple question from a kid, and it leads into a discussion about baptism or their struggles or whatever it is. How many of those discussions have you had over the years where you've impacted somebody's life? And I'm sure that they remember that. And I thank you for that. That's a blessing.
I can remember, thinking, and I think I even said this to Kirk one time. It's like, it's like this shirt says servant. I was like, well, is it really serving when you have so much fun doing it?
That's true.
I was like, it doesn't really feel like a sacrifice, like you're working. But I think that's the part that God just lifts, because it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like a hardship. A lot of people say, oh, you give up so much, you work so hard. It's like, yeah, but I get more than I give.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the return.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Those of us that have been there long enough understand that yeah, I'm going to go, I'm going to be worn out, I'm going to be tired, but what I get in return is far greater than whatever I give up.
Your spiritual tank is overflowing when you leave out of that place during the week. I know that all of us here have had the experience of a camper that's kind of struggled when they showed up on campus. On Sunday afternoon, you can kind of see them hanging on to mom or dad, and you try to make it easier for them to part ways. How do y'all normally handle that?
Trying to get them to let go.
Yeah, let go and stay.
Well, Sundays are tough. They're tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that first night in the cabin
mm-hmm.
sets the tone, and you have to make it just feel like home. You do what you can to make it everybody feel comfortable. And that circle on the floor in the cabin at night on Sunday night, that's where it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling my mom the other day about a little girl. I think it was earlier in the week. It was probably Monday or Tuesday, and she was determined she was going home. And because I had a little love and logic training in school, I thought I was going to try it out on her. And she was, I'm going home. I'm like, oh, well, okay. And she gave me all the reasons why, that things weren't going well in the cabin and nobody liked her. Everybody hated her. And I was like, I understand that. And she's like, I'm just going to call my mom and and I was like, oh, how are you going to do that? Do you have a phone? Well, no. I was like, oh, plan B, we going to do. Well, I'll walk. I'm just going to walk home. I'm like, oh, so when we get down the end of driveway, I'll walk with you. Which way do you go from there? She was like,
oh.
And we walked, by the time we got back, because we walked all the way down to the lake, and we chatted and talked, and she got back up, and, we got back up. I was like, well, it's about time to go swimming. Why don't you, feel like it's kind of warm out. Let's just go to the pool. And I don't think I saw her again the rest of the week. She was busy.
That, to me, is one of the cool things. If you've done it a few years, you're going to have a couple of those. And it doesn't matter if they're 4 or if they're 16. And And it may be a little struggle the first day or two, but you know deep down that's the kid that's going to have the week of his life.
Uh-huh.
And count the days to come back. It just happens. I don't know. It just happens every year.
That first guy, I did golden apple, and this was a terrible initiation for Gary, and I didn't even think about it. But Randall would have the golden apple on Friday night, and Gary had just come up to visit that night. I think he was spending the night or something, and so foolishly I gave it to him. And well, he doesn't know. It has no interaction with anybody to give his to. And so there he was. And he ended up, he had a slight interaction with a camper. And do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he was kind of being a bully to another kid.
Yeah. He and I had an interaction earlier that day. Yeah, had to kind of get in his face for picking on a little kid. But yeah.
But he said he probably thinks that I don't like him. He's like, and that's just not true. And so he ended up giving his apple to this kid, and it probably meant the world to him. So, it was terrible thing for me to set up Gary for, but he just managed to turn it around, and you can always find a way to do that. That's the cool thing at camp too.
It is.
God shines those lights and it gives us opportunity to lift up those ones that feel like they're not loved or they're forgotten. So
I remember a kid during the third week. I can't remember where he came from, but he was one of the friends of one of the kids that showed up, and he was 18 and just raw, full of the world. Never been to church camp, never been to church. And that Monday, I remember having an interaction with him, and I mean, he balled up his fist like he was going to punch me. And I can remember just saying, "No, you're not going to do that." And luckily, Kirk walked by. I said, "Kirk, you need to talk to him right now." So talk to him. But I made a point every day to walk up to that kid at some point and look him in the eyes, shake his hand, and say, "I love you." And I walk away, wouldn't say anything else. That Saturday after the award ceremony, he came up to me and gave me the biggest hug.
yes,
Mr. Andy. And that connection, I have no idea where the kid is today.
Yeah, I know.
But that's the blessing that we have to be able to work with these kids. Is sometimes it's just showing them that we love them.
Right.
Yep.
Experiencing love.
And being family. And sometimes family is.
Yeah.
You
don't agree.
got to deal with him like your brother.
Mm-hmm.
Your real brother.
Yeah. Well, let me pause this just for a second. All right, guys. Well, my last question here that I wanted to ask you guys, and I know that's going to be hard for you to do, and that's I know that there's been plenty of people that have left an impression on you over the years while working with Carolina Bible Camp. It could be the staff, or it could be even a camper. Is there somebody that you want to share that you really appreciate and are thankful for? The list is long.
It is long.
It is. If I just picked one, it would have to be Wilson.
Yeah.
If I just go with one, because when I think of CBC, I think of him. And HR. I mean, but as far as young people, loved watching Josh Moss grow up. Love to see what he's doing today. He has a place in my heart forever. But there's so many. The Palmers. Wow, just so many people. Bonnie. Donna Woodhouse.
Well, you're going to make me cry, which is appropriate, because what's a talk about CDC without Denise ending in a puddle of tears? But yeah, my twink. That's what we have been for about 25 years, and it wouldn't have happened without CVC and Kurt and Tim.
Yeah.
We have bonds that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Amen. It's powerful. Can you sum up camp with one word?
You asked that before, and I'm going to stick to it. It's home.
Home.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It is home.
Both of our kids.
Moxville's halfway to anywhere you want to go.
That's Bonnie. Our kids, Tara was married at Jericho. We had the reception in the dining hall. Ben was married down in the amphitheater.
Yep.
It's family. It's where we belong. That's with our family. And as we were sitting, it was freezing. It was snowing the day, and it was out. So it was the December 31st, and not a leaf on the tree. It was 30 degrees. Everybody was freezing, and it was the most beautiful place. I wouldn't have wanted to been anywhere else.
Awesome.
And Kirk was there, and big smile on his face. And it was perfect. Where else would you want to be, on any given day? That's the best place to be.
I agree with you so much there. Well, guys, if you've got the chance here to say something to encourage all those folks that you love so dearly that work at Carolina Bible Camp, what would you like to say to them now?
Oh golly, I just want everybody to come back, and let's get this thing and make it bigger and better. And I do think that it makes, what they say about absence makes the heart grow fonder. I hope that's what happens this year, and that those of us have kind of drifted and maybe let life get in the way, and that we'll return and in maybe different ways. I mean, I feel like my contribution now is different, but that doesn't mean I'm ready to hang up my shoes, but there's always something that you can do.
Yeah.
And for those that maybe feel like they don't, that they've done their share, and it's time. It is time for the younger ones to come in and take some of that, but there's always something you can do, even if it's like we've been trying to raise money all these 49 days. Make those contributions, make those monthly contributions, send somebody to camp. There's always something you can do. And that's my encouragement is, find a way to be involved. There's always something we can do.
Mm-hmm. Gary?
Same way. I think find a way to get involved. Fundraising's great, but
nobody can do your job at the Bluegrass Festival.
Yes, the Bluegrass. I love the Bluegrass Festival.
But nobody works harder than Gary Scruggs.
Well, that's true. But I'm getting older. But no, I'll hang in there a few more years. But just to keep it like it is. I understand change comes, but we could create a beautiful campus, and that's not what it's about. It's about the people. It's about the relationships. It's about the spiritual. It's about God, and passing that torch on to the next generation and keeping it going. And it is easy to get caught up. I mean, I turned 60 this year, but how many years did Wilson do it? How many years did H.R. Butler do it? Billy Voss. I've got a few good years left in me.
Yes, sir.
And, I just can't run as fast to third base, but,
Oh my.
can't wait.
Yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank you. I appreciate you too so much. I love the way that you love our kids when they're at camp. And if the parents only knew how much you care for those kids, they'd be much more. Well, they are very appreciative of that. And with this 49 days of CBC, it's just to remind folks of the importance of Carolina Bible Camp. And we, talked to like Billy Voss and hearing the history. I would have loved to have been able to interview Wilson Burton.
Absolutely.
Some HR Butler. I mean, that could be a hoot, just sitting down talking to him.
Oh, yeah.
But this reminder of the importance of Carolina Bible Camp, I think it's really impacted people. I've had a number of people contact me and say, "Hey, I haven't been there in years, but I watched the video of such and such, and I love it. I got to get back. I got to help. I got to do something." And there's always places where you can help. If you're not on staff, you can come help clean up or whatever, or help support us. But I gotta say I love you guys. You're my brothers and sisters.
Love you too, Andy.
And let's keep the fight going. And we look forward to another day that we can serve God by serving Carolina Bible Camp. And thank you.
I remember when it was a big decision for you to take on head counselor. And look at you now.
Yeah. Well, do you know the story behind that?
Oh, yeah. But I know it was a tough decision. But even yet, where are you now? You could run the place, and everybody loves you. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, sir. It's humbling. You got me now, Booker.
We love you, Andy.
Love you too, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye now.